what do we do in those situations, or maybe what are your suggestions to to those of us still walking through this parenting thing? What do we do when we feel embarrassed, or when our kids are doing something and we're like, "Oh my gosh, I don't even know what to do." And the first thing we want to do is lash out or yell at them, or I mean,
Mhm.
in all of your years of
Yes,
parenting, and now that you've
yes.
looked at what your daughter thought was successful and not, what do you suggest we
Mhm.
do?
Yes, I have a lot of those, and I think that, oh, I have so many of those. I could just take the rest of our time and just tell those things, but our kids were great at just embarrassing us, doing things like my youngest, when he was around 3 or 4, he
Uh-huh.
decided to get a little vial and he collected his boogers in it. So he would walk
Oh.
around with this little vial of boogers and he would keep it in his pocket. Well, one night I'm delivering dinner for one of our pastors at our church, and he pulls out his booger collection, his prize vial, out of his pocket while I'm delivering this dinner. And he's like, "Look at my boogers." And I was like, oh, I was so embarrassed because I didn't really know this pastor very well. And, luckily the pastor said, "Oh, I've got one of those too." So at first I was really embarrassed, but then I was like, you know what? He's a kid. He's going to do stuff like that. And, you just have to just kind of go with it. And just because our kids are going to do stuff like that, our kids are going to do things that we're going to feel like terrible parents. I mean, that's just part of the parent's journey. Like they do something, you're like, oh man, who's that kid's parent? And, that's your first thought. And you just have to back it up and go, okay, they're kids. They're supposed to be making
Mhm.
mistakes. These things are supposed to happen. Don't be surprised when these things happen. They're supposed to happen. If your kids aren't making mistakes and fumbling and doing things that embarrass you and make you look like a terrible parent, you're probably not parenting very well, because that means that they're not making mistakes. And you want your kids to make mistakes, and you
Yeah.
want to be there and help pick them up when they make mistakes.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And so what you're saying is, instead of like having a negative response towards them, think about the situation, maybe not about how it's reflecting on us, but the way that
Right.
they're looking at the situation, that type of thing.
Right. You got to step back and you have to say, okay, how can I love them through this? Because when we
Mm.
fully love and accept our children through their junk, we are taking them straight to the heart of God,
Hmm.
because
Wow.
that's God. No matter what we do, he picks us up and, gets us ready to go again and sends us on our way. And that's our job. If we're going to parent like God parents us, a big part of that is just accepting all of what our kids are, all their failures, all their mistakes, all of the nastiness, all of the things that they do that drive us crazy. We need to embrace those things and love them and help, just help nurture them through it, and then move them on to the next stage.